there is a pounding on our door. Just boom, 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 boom. Look at the clock, it's like 5 a.m. And so I jump up, I run to the door, open the door, and Joe's eyes are big. Luke, get your family, a tsunami's coming. I'm like, what? He's like, you gotta get to high ground. I said, where are we gonna go? I want to welcome you back again for another story answering the question, is God active? Now this morning we were filming high above Kahului on the island of Maui, just before sunrise. And in 2010, as you heard a number of stories before, how our family was hoping to go to a trip to Hawaii and Maui and the flights got canceled by a snowstorm. Well, in 2010, we were able to do that trip. Got to the island of Maui, spent probably almost 4 weeks here on the island. And during that time, one of the things that happened was that we met this man named Dave Richter. Now, I had just taken my kids, Hadassah and Caleb, they were 10 and 9 years old, and I'd taken them on just out of the condo where we were at. And in that area, it's not really a nice, like the beach isn't that nice, not many people go in the water, but I would take the kids out there and I would go out there because the wildlife and the coral and it was just amazing what you'd see out there. And so I'd go out there and not many people went out there. So Dave came over the one time, the very first time we met him, and he walked over to me, he started asking me all sorts of questions. I found out he was a teacher. But it wasn't until a couple days later that he actually told us why he came to talk to us. He was actually in Maui. He had been diagnosed with cancer. He was doing what you would call your bucket list of different things. He was going to live on the island for a few months. And when he saw me come out with the kids, he said, whoever would go in there and not have fear and be at peace has something I need. And so after that, he would come and spend days with us, come to our house for supper, for smoothies, all these different things. And so this one particular Friday night, where our trip is winding down, we have about a week left, and this one Friday night, he came over and for smoothies, and we were gonna have a little worship, and all of a sudden we get this knock on the door. Bang, 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 bang. We get this knock on the door, and it's our friends, Joe, Grace, Job, and Grant. And they had been planning on coming and spending some time in the pool, all this stuff, but you know what, he's busy, they're a family, they got school, all sorts of stuff. And it was like one of the last Friday nights we were gonna be there, and they showed up. Well, we spent some time together. They were inviting us to a hike, to go on a hike to the blowhole after church. And so everyone went to bed, everything is normal. Janet told me later she was remembering how before she went to bed, what color of shoes she was going to wear the next day. And the next thing I know, there is a pounding on our door. Just boom, 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 boom. And startled, wide awake. What's going on? Look at the clock, it's like 5 a.m. Not a lot happens on the island at 5 a.m. And so I jump up, I run downstairs, I'm still in my underwear, run to the door, open the door, and I could hear this voice, and it sounded like Joe. And I open the door, and Joe is there. And Joe's eyes are big, and Joe is saying, Luke, get your family. And as he's telling me this, he's starting to run down the stairs, because we're on the 3rd floor, and he starts to run down the stairs. And he's like, get your family, a tsunami's coming. I'm like, what? He's like, you got to get to high ground. I said, where are we going to go? He said, come to my house. And as he's running down the stairway, he's telling me how to get there. Now, I don't know about you, but my directions have not always been that great, especially in a clutch situation like this, where he's running and telling me, turn left, right here at this street, and he's gone. I go back into the house. Jana had woken up and heard this, so she's starting to get ready. I go into the kids' bedroom. I go into there. They're all staying in this one room. It's dead dark. There is nobody awake. I open the door, flip on the light, and I said, guys, you got to get up. I need you to get your shoes. I need you to get your socks, and I need you to get some clothes together because there's a tsunami coming. Instantly, everybody springs to action. I mean, what's a tsunami? Helena's kind of like, what's a tsunami? She's ready to start crying. I'm like, Helena, suck it up. Her little lip was just quivering. Said, this is no time for crying. Get your socks, get your shoes. We gotta go. Hadassah was also trying to find, so they're all organizing their stuff. I go back in the living room. I flip on the TV. All there is on the screen is this digital display that says tsunami. Oh my word. We didn't really know when it was coming. We just knew we had to get there, get out, quick. So we're starting to get stuff. Janet's getting food. Janet, she's getting water. I quickly dial my parents back in Canada. I dialed their number, called them up. It was a very quick and brief discussion. I said, hey, I need you guys to pray. There's a tsunami coming on the island. We don't know exactly what or when. We just know it's coming. We got to get out of here. See you, bye. Boom, hung the phone up. Imagine my parents on the other line. Well, I found out later, they like panicking. Just nothing, just gone, back down. At that time, it was about that moment. And the whole time we had been, playing around, playing, bocce ball and they had a little putt-putt green and all these different things, palm trees, pools. I hadn't seen, but these huge sirens were in the trees and the tsunami sirens start going off. I grew up having stories told to me by my grandparents about World War II and sirens and bomb sirens and all these things. And it was like I was just reliving these stories that my grandparents told. And the sirens start screaming. And it was the most eerie feeling that I had felt up to that point as those sirens were going, because you knew this is real. Okay, so we start getting stuff, throwing stuff into stuff. Suitcases are going. I whip down, I'm hauling stuff down. Janice just working like crazy to put stuff together. I'm hauling suitcases down. The kids are all getting their stuff down. I start the van. Dave Richter, he's up. His vehicle's right there, right beside us. He's packing stuff in. He's like, wherever you guys are going today, I'm going with you. I said, okay, well, we're going to try and find Joe's place. Joe was already here. He said, I've been up early. For some reason, he couldn't sleep that night, and he saw that this thing was going. Start looking out. People are moving. People are taking their suitcases. You can see some people saying, we're trying to get to the airport. We're going to try and get out of here as fast as we can. So I start the van. I leave the van going because we're like, we want to be ready. Go back up, come back down. The next time I came back down, the van's off. It's shut off. I'm looking, no keys. What the world? Where's the keys? Where's the keys? We're trying to figure out where the keys are. Finally, Dave said, I gave your keys. I didn't want somebody to steal your van, so I shut the van off, gave your keys to your most responsible 5-year-old child. What? You gotta be kidding me. You gave your keys to Cody? Cody, where's the keys? Cody, where's the keys? Everyone's like, Cody, where's the keys? I don't know where the keys are. I didn't go, I don't have the keys. I don't know where the keys are. I mean, he's 5 years old. Dave's like, I gave those keys to Cody. So now my heart's starting to pound a little bit harder. I mean, it's one thing to be looking out and going, okay, I'm not raised on the ocean. I'm not raised on an island. I don't know about these tsunami things. I don't know how much time we've got. Now we can't even drive. All of a sudden, Hadassah, she's like, Dad, I know exactly. The other day, while we were coming back from McKenna Beach, I found this key in the back, and we had a van. It was like a Dodge Caravan that we were rented. And, at the time, it was kind of a new thing to have a key that wasn't like a normal key. It was kind of like this square thing that stuck in, and you push a button. And so she said, Dad, I found this key. It's kind of a broken key. Back. So she whips into the back of the van, pulls out this little, half-broken key, but it was like, So I tried to unlock, but it wouldn't lock or unlock the vehicle. I put it in the ignition thing. It starts it. Oh, man. Thank you, Dassa. Thank you. Cody, where's that key? So here we go. So now we're loaded up. Everything's going. I mean, the streets are getting busy. Like it's, maybe you've heard some traffic as we've been talking here. Well, it was way busier than that. Traffic is moving. People are going everywhere. We get in their vehicle. We're like, okay, we're going to go now. We start to go out. Cody's like, Dad, stop. What? He's like, Dad, I met this lady when I was at the pool. She's about 82 years old, and she's by herself, and she's up in this building B, and Dad, we gotta go find her. What? Yeah, we gotta go back. We can't just leave. We gotta let her know. What if nobody told her? Now, you want to do things like this, but when something like a tsunami is coming, you don't even want to take a second to stop and do anything else, hardly go and warn somebody. So, like, nope, Dad, please. We stopped the vehicle, said, okay, everyone stay in here. We left the vehicle running. We left somebody in the vehicle watching the key. Cody and I'm following this 5-year-old up the stairs. We're running down, actually first we ran through the complex, then we go up the building, then we go up the second floor, and we're running, and he's looking, and I'm following him, and he's like, no, not this one, not this one, this one. And we're knocking on the door, nobody answered. Knocking on the door, beating on the door. We open up the door. Finally, I just check it. Hello, hello. It opens. I go in there. Hello. She's gone. Oh, Cody was so happy. Okay, she's gone. She's made it. We go to another one. Other people were telling people as they go, they're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we've been told. We run back. We make sure people know. There was a few other people that we had got to know while we were there. Get back to our vehicle. Okay, now we're going to find Joe's place. I have to say I'm really thankful for Google Maps, because Google Maps, I can punch it in and I can find it. I haven't been very good with directions, especially when we lived in Alberta. I couldn't find my way around at all, and you'd think you would be able to, but I can't. So there I am, and I'm like, okay, now he said this way, and we turned, and then he said left, and then we turned, and then it's a right. And you wouldn't believe it, we pulled right to their house. That was a miracle in itself. We pulled their house. Now Joe and his family, they got their Dodge truck, and they're loading coolers into the vehicle, and sleeping bags, and they're getting stuff ready, because he's like, okay, there's been enough information now. They're saying when this tsunami hits, it's going to take and devastate this lower area. The airport down here, Kahului, the lower airport, the surge wave they were estimating at the time was going to be about a surge of 15 feet of water, because there's these buoys in the ocean, and they're monitoring these buoys. And as the buoys go up, they can tell. And so there's all these buoys throughout the ocean that'll send signals back. And so they're looking at those and using those as a way to determine. So Joe is like, hey, when this happens, we're going to be shut down for a while. So they're getting stuff in the vehicles. Finally, we get them loaded up, and now 3 vehicle caravan heads out of their driveway. Joe, Dave, and us. And so we start driving, and we start going, and we're like, okay, we got to go. I guess Joe had set up a thing with a local pastor from Kahului, had a place in the mountains here, just a little ways up from where we're actually filming right now. And so we start going towards the Haleakala Highway. And we kind of are coming a back way, but before we come onto the highway, and there's just traffic everywhere. Traffic, driving, cars everywhere. And we come by this gas station, because we start looking and oh man, we should probably get some gas. The gas stations are backed up, like, it seemed like a mile out. Just car after car after car. People holding propane bottles, standing in line, waiting. Doors are locked. People are just letting one at a time. Everywhere we went, just like that. So we come along, and it is an eerie feeling as we're driving along the highway, like this long stretch where we're coming out before we got onto the other highway, along the water. And all that water that you used to look at and be like, oh man, we got to go to the beach. It didn't look like a place where you wanted to go. It was like danger. It was like, I want to get away from this. And so I start going along, we're coming along, and we're going real good, moving along. And then we come, and you could see cars backing up that were coming from the Lahaina side, like Mahalea Harbor, that side, all the way up the Haleakala Road, backed up. We just came to a standstill on this side road. Just no more, just cars everywhere. What are we gonna do? Well, Joe does a U-turn in the middle of the road, comes back to us, and we're like, oh, what's he doing? He said, follow me. Now, you want to follow somebody up, out of the way. He starts going back to where we came from. And there was this sick feeling in my stomach as we were driving. As you're driving along, and you watch everybody, car after car, solid traffic, coming towards you. And you're going in the direction where no one's going. But all of a sudden, not too far, Joe takes a left, and then we go and there's sugar cane, and he takes this left, and he starts going along, and the next thing you know, he takes us on these back roads, and we're right where we want to be, up in that hill country here, on the side of the mountain, and within a few minutes, we were at the pastor's house. Oh man, what a relief. Wow, there we are. The pastor and his wife had made breakfast. She had food out for everybody because there was other people coming. Food out, we dropped everybody off, and then Joe said, hey, we got to get some fuel. A few of our cars were getting empty. He said, we got to get some fuel. And he said, because if there's nothing going, if there's no fuel or anything for the next 2 weeks, we need fuel. So Joe and Dave and I jumped in our vehicles, and he said, I know a little gas station just down the road a ways, kind of in the hill country here, I think it's Ching Store. And he said, we'll go there. So we drive, we go along, and we get there, and sure enough, we come, and there's car after car. They're all lined up along the side of the road, in the kind of the ditch, and so people can get by. And we're there. Okay, all right, okay. We don't have to worry, but we just slowly crept along till we finally get to the gas station. We're just at the pump. Yes. And just then, the gas attendant said, no more credit cards. Cash only. What? So we were just about at the end of our trip, and we'd kind of used up most of our cash. We just had a bit left. Like, no more credit cards. I guess so many transactions have been happening that it kind of flooded the system, and it just sort of stalled. That was it. So quickly we're looking, and we're all kind of looking at, pulling our wallets, looking at what we got, kind of pooling our money together, and get up to the pump, and we made it so that everyone could get gas. So we got this gas, drove back. Now we're at the pastor's house, and we were going to come. Actually, the pastor did this little kind of a Bible study on Matthew chapter 24. You know, it actually sort of seems like today it's like busy like it was that day. There's a lot of traffic driving by. But it was Matthew chapter 24, and he goes and he does this little Bible study, and so we had this Bible study. He said, okay, now everybody come down, and we all came, and we drove down this road right to this very spot. And on this road, there's vehicle after vehicle, and there's people sitting in the backs of the vehicle, and they're looking out. They got coolers, they got sleeping bags. Some of them looked like they just woke up. Some of them looked like they were out all night, maybe hadn't even slept. There was this very sober look on everyone's face as this road was just packed with vehicles. Everybody looking out, looking into the ocean, watching on both sides to see what is going to happen. And as we're sitting here, people have their radios going, the news, and it's telling, okay, this is where it's going to come. This is when it's coming. And there was like this countdown. And we're looking out, and the countdown happens. Okay, 3, 2, and we see the water going out. And you see coral reefs, because we had binoculars and stuff, and everyone's sharing, and you see the coral reefs all of a sudden exposed. And everyone's just stomachs are in a knot. And then all of a sudden, the water just kind of frothed in. And then it kind of went, and then just kind of frothed, and it was weird. It was like, where's the surge? Where's the wave? We waited and waited, and then it just frothed in, and it just was doing weird things. And then coral would be exposed, but nothing really came in. So we waited for like half an hour until finally the radio's going, we don't know what happened. This was coming, we had this surge, and we don't know what happened. We go back to the pastor's house. He puts on his big screen TV, he puts on the news, and they're watching it. And the news broadcasters are saying, I don't know what happened, but the waves were, the tsunami was coming, and it parted and went around the islands. Well, we had people back at home. When we had called my parents, we called people, they were back at home, and they were praying. And I remember they were praying, and one of the times somebody had called me and said, we're praying that God would take and do what he did in the Red Sea to the Hawaiian Islands, and that he would part the water. Oh, we're there like, God parted the water. There's a text in the Bible, and it comes out of Psalms. Psalms chapter 27. Now, what's interesting about this is the very Psalms. We had been reading through Psalms as a family every night. And that night when we got back from this whole experience, we got back to the condo, we opened the Bible to Psalms 27 because that was the day. We were reading a chapter for every day, and it was the 27th of February when that happened. And this is what we read that night. It said, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. So why should I be afraid? The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger. So why should I tremble? When evil people come to devour me, when my enemies and foes attack me, they will stumble and fall. Though a mighty army surrounds me, my heart will not be afraid. Even if I'm attacked, I am confident." And then we go to verse 5, which says, "For he will conceal me there when trouble comes. He will hide me in his sanctuary. He will place me out of reach on a high rock." And we read that as a family that night. We realized God took our family and put us on a high rock. Now you might say, well, wow, okay, that's an interesting story. Yes, because a lot of times when miracles happen, we take and we instantly kind of find a way of saying, well, I don't know, did that really happen? Was that really a miracle? Maybe science was wrong. Maybe I don't know. But I want to tell you that night, that Friday night that Joe and his family came over, it was very purposeful. Because if Joe hadn't come to our place that Friday night, he would never have come and knocked on our door Saturday morning at 5 a.m. All these things happened perfectly because God wants us to know. He wanted our family to know, and he wanted us to know so that we could share with you that you don't have to be afraid when the tsunami comes. Because there are tsunamis that are going to come in your life, and there are tsunamis that come in my life. But we can go and run and trust in God. I want to invite you to trust in God with the tsunamis of your life. And I also want to invite you to join us again next week as we continue answering the question, is God active?